Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of The Banter and Insights. The new Premier League season is underway, and the first round of matches just happened this weekend. We have Varun and Vansh with us to dissect what happened over the weekend, and Manan will be joining us shortly. So let's begin. I think the best place to start is the Friday night, Saturday early morning game, which was the champions Liverpool at home to Bournemouth. Uh, Varun, any thoughts on this?
Great game. I think it was a great season opener, and I think Liverpool are kind of they started just where they left off. I feel. I think they are looking like a very good team going forward, and again, like Salah to the rescue at the end and giving them 3 points. I think it was a great game. I actually loved it. I was like I was hoping, being an Arsenal fan, that Bournemouth have done enough to kind of go get away with a draw. But then, of course, Liverpool, with the way they finished it at the end, it was a good opening game of the season as a neutral kind of a thing. So yeah.
Vansh, what's your view?
Again, like a perfect season opener, I feel. Exactly what a neutral fan would hope for. Action on both ends, a very competitive game. I felt that Bournemouth really did well to get back into the game. Attacking wise, Semenyo, Brooks, all of them contributed really well. I feel the first sub that I think Liverpool made was taking off both their fullbacks, and I think that was a turning point where Bournemouth got back into the game. However, I feel that Bournemouth messed up in their defensiveness, like their defensive strategy was not on point, and I think that's what costed them that one single point, which they could have gotten if they were more clinical.
So, just some thoughts around the match. I I think this was considering that this was the first weekend. I think I was looking forward to it for almost 2 months and ended up watching most of the games. So, if I look at it from a neutral perspective as well as a fan perspective, so firstly, a big shout out to Bournemouth because they have literally lost their entire back line, right? You look at the keeper, Kirkes, uh, you look at the Hoyson, Zabarni, they've lost the entire back line. Still, they competed really well. And actually, they could have got something out of the game. Uh, a big shout out to Semenyo. I think the goals that he scores are absolutely crazy. Uh, very good first look of Ekitike. I think he was super involved in the game. He helped build up play really well, got everyone involved. Was lucky to get a deflection for the first goal in the sense he got the ball back, but a great finish from him. And Gakpo did really well. But I think two shout outs here. One for Federico Chiesa, because when the chips were down, and Chiesa comes on in the 82nd minute, there was literally no one expecting him to score. Inside the box, great control, great finish first time. And to score his first Liverpool goal in the league like that was amazing. And like Varun said,
We had
from an
briefly
FPL,
discussed. Briefly discussed last weekend, right? Like that Chiesa is also like a great option off the bench. I know he
correct,
might be sold, but again, like as of now, I don't think that deal is done yet. So
correct. And
yeah,
I think his goal was the game changer, right? Like 3 points
yeah,
was in the bag after his goal.
yeah.
And Salah, from an FPL perspective, he has a record for scoring or assisting in the first round of games over the last 8 seasons. So he
Yeah.
continued that trend. So I think that was really good from Salah's perspective as well. Uh, but yeah, I think overall a really good game. Liverpool showed why they are champions and why they are competing for the title. Next up, we
Whatever that
have the
whatever that
yeah,
Liverpool fan told Semenyo, it really charged him up, man. Like
yeah,
if they would have dropped points, I think the blame would have squarely gone on him. But
But
yeah,
it's a very stupid thing. Yeah. Like I think as
yeah,
fans
yeah,
again, we should not be like it's so like any sort of racist behavior, I think should be grounds for dismissal from the
correct,
ground and get bans. Like it's
yeah.
not it's not called for at all.
And I think he was removed from the ground
He
right
was
after.
removed. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I
correct.
think he was even arrested the following day.
Okay.
That was what I read.
Okay.
Also, I feel that we overlooked Frimpong. I think he technically didn't have the best game, but I feel like defensively he really stepped up. Because if you go back and see the first goal that Bournemouth scored was because Brooks got a lot of space on the left hand side from where he played a ball into the box and then Semenyo converted. Until Frimpong was there, Frimpong, because of his pace, he tracked back well and he didn't allow Brooks to have that much space. So I feel Frimpong did well defensively, but again, because this is just the first game and Salah and Frimpong haven't played with each other much, so that connection will take time to build. But definitely a huge shout out to him in terms of the way he stepped up defensively.
Very, very interesting point of view there. Okay. So moving on to the Saturday evening fixtures in India. We had the early game, which was Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Varun, Vansh, did you happen to see this game? Any thoughts? Vansh and I saw this together, so we can comment later.
I just saw
Slept
the
through the
highlights for this
game.
one, but you guys can go on.
So yeah, so Vansh and I, we both had a very late night on Friday night, right? And we had office the next day. So we were both super tired, but we wanted to watch this match together. I think the start was interesting because both teams were attacking and they were, really playing end to end for a while. What was noticeable is that although Gordon had some very good moments for Newcastle, it was evident that Newcastle were like lacking a number nine, a striker, a forward who could convert those chances. Because the entire team was playing as a unit, they were playing really well. But only when it comes to closing those final third chances, I think that's where Newcastle lagged severely. On the other hand, in Aston Villa, Morgan Rogers had a couple of good moments. Watkins had a couple of good moments, but they were unable to convert. Finally, in the second half, I think when the staff started, I think both Vanch and I were half asleep, and then we woke up only because of the red card. And during the red card, I think it was a deserved red. Unfortunately, Konsa was in my FPL team, so that was a, a negative for me, but it was deserved red for sure. And then Newcastle, I think, again, could not break them down. So I honestly feel that Newcastle would look at this game as 2 points dropped because playing against Villa, a good Villa team, which is down to 10 men, and when you are dominating the game, I think they could have got the winner. Vanch, any thoughts on this?
I think again, like Gordon playing out of position, playing like a false nine instead of playing on the left. I think that was a major thing. I think the second when he shifted to the left, I think in a couple of plays he created good chances. So I think if initially from the start of the game he was playing on the left, I think the result might have been different. But again, like Newcastle had a disappointing performance for sure.
They need a striker, yeah. I think just let Isaac go, yeah. He's too injury prone. Use the money, get someone else better. They should have gone, like hard on Sesko basically. But I know it's opportunity missed for them, I guess. But yeah, I would say just let Isaac go, yeah. I think again, like misses too many games. I feel so. Yeah.
Coming to the next fixtures on Saturday, Fulham got a late equalizer against Brighton. Uh, couldn't follow all the games simultaneously, but Brighton, as always, played some good football. And the second half, Fulham did quite well to get the equalizer. Sunderland versus West Ham was, I think, one of the stories of the weekend. We see a Sunderland side which got promoted via the playoffs last year. They have effectively come to the Premier League and spent close to 200 million euros. and they have signed some really good players. One of them I was following a little bit last season. The player's name is Habib Diarra. He was part of the Strasbourg team in France. So because of the Chelsea Strasbourg connection, I was seeing a bit of his games, and he seems to be a really good footballer. And I think he will make his mark in the Premier League for sure. And two of the Sunderland forwards scored, and some really good finishes as well. The header for the first goal was really, really good. The keeper mistake for the second was really bad from the West Ham perspective. And I think it's a big pressure on Graham Potter and the West Ham team, right? Because they haven't, like, if you look at Potter's record and if you look at Lopetegui's record, I think they have a very similar record. So I think Graham Potter will need to step up, otherwise his job may not be safe.
I think
But
Xhaka is
Sunderland,
a
big
good,
credit.
also Xhaka is a good addition to the Sunderland team in just in terms of his experience in the Premier League. Like with the newly promoted team, that experience can be really, really vital for the other players.
Vital,
Yeah.
correct.
True, very true.
And they actually did not have most of the possession. It was just about being clinical with their chances and taking more conversions on goal. But it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they do. I also like Adingra a lot. He was in Brighton last year, and he's someone who always makes something happen. So it'll be fun to see how this shapes up.
Well, the surprising part is that Xhaka started the game and there was no yellow card for Sunderland in the game. Very surprising.
There was no yellow card for Paqueta either.
Yes. Fair enough.
Okay.
All right, let's
Uh,
one.
Vanch, can you scroll down a little bit?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Now, again, two very, very interesting results. These two games I watched from beginning to end. Uh, Tottenham 3-0 versus Burnley. I think in previous years, you would think that a Spurs side at home should get the better of a newly promoted side. But the fact of the matter is कि Burnley actually played quite well. And Spurs were just really, really good. And Kudus in particular, I think he was someone who was all over the place. He did his offensive responsibilities very well. He did his defensive responsibilities very well. Uh, the Spurs midfield for the first 65, 70 minutes comprised of Archie Gray and Lucas Bergwall, two teams, and both of them ran the game for Spurs. And I think it's a really good platform which they can actually, take this season because I think Thomas Frank has got the team going in the same direction. And now you have Romero who has signed a new deal at Spurs as well. So a new 4-year contract he has signed today. Van der Ven, as always, looks amazing whenever he's fit. Pedro Porro always creates something on the right. And in this match, Jed Spence started on the left, but if in case he's not there, then Udogi comes in and does well. So I think this Spurs side actually have it's more robust than what you would think their league position last year portray. Uh, Vanch, Varun, any thoughts on the Spurs Burnley game?
Like very interesting, right? Like how young their entire midfield, not just Gray and Bergwall, both of them are 19-year-old, but even Saar is just 22-year-old, right? So
Correct.
like all three of them are like pretty young, and then you add to that players like Brennan Johnson, who's very young as well. Like I think he's like 23, 24 or something like that. Jade Spence is I think again 24 or something, 25. I don't know, something like that. So like a very very young team. Um, I think they have the potential, but yeah, they being Spurs, it's like you always have volatility in their performance. They will have two good games, one really bad game, and then yeah, like it's I don't know whether you can at the beginning of the season actually call them and say, okay, fine, like we are sure that they will be top four or top five kind of a thing. I doubt it, kind of. So but they looked well. A shout out to Richarlison for his second goal. Superb, superb goal. I think he
Overhead.
has a knack of scoring these overhead kicks. Like we saw one in the World Cup
World
as
Cup.
well. Yeah, so great goal by him. Kurus, you mentioned again, like uh, good debut game for him as well. So yeah, I mean overall a good performance by this Spurs team. But I wouldn't get carried away by this one performance. I think they need to kind of play that way the entire season, and then we can kind of judge them at the end of it. So
So just a caveat here, they actually had a very, very good game against PSG as well. I saw the first half because it was late in the night, and the first half they tactically got it completely right. Both their defenders scored goals. They were 2-0 up in about 60 minutes. And then Spurs being Spurs, they let the game go in the last 10 minutes. And then they lost on penalties. But I think the performance warranted that, they are actually getting things on track in terms of the way Thomas Frank wants to organize things. And the fact is that how he was able to build up Brentford better than how the Brentford side would have been. I think similarly, he is, at least in the first two games, the evidence suggests that he will be getting the best out of these Spurs players. But it will be interesting. I completely agree. Two games is a very short period of time. I think maybe after 20 games, we'll know whether they can actually compete for the top four or no. But definitely, I don't see them finishing bottom half this season.
My only concern is like for the entire season, not for the game, is who brings that experience and that leadership in the team. Of course, you've got Romero playing as the captain, but that experience and inspiration which is needed in the midfield and in the attacking line, which Son used to get, I feel that is something that they might miss in certain match days. So that is one thing to look out for. And again, consistency. Like Richarlison in the 22 World Cup, he started the World Cup with a brilliant game, two goals and one overhead kick. But then later throughout the tournament, his performance dropped. So again, if he is leading the line, he needs to be consistent. So that will be, I think these are the two key aspects that we'll have to look out for. If they play out in their favor, then definitely Spurs will perform a lot better than what anyone's expecting.
I think Madison will be that player who kind of has is that leader in the midfield whenever he is not injured. I
No,
so,
no, Haru, Madison ACL. He's out for the season.
oh, Madison got an ACL.
Uh,
Oh,
so
that's
Levi
tough, man.
Colville, Madison, yeah, both of them are out. So that's why they're linked to Eze now.
So
Okay.
Wow, it's going to be a tough season for
Move,
them.
yeah. Moving to the City versus Wolves game, and we saw City back in action, annihilating a Wolves team at home. And I think there were two key stories here. One was the emergence of Tiani Reinders, who came from AC Milan and completely ran the game. One brilliant key pass for the first goal, a super second goal himself, and then again a third assist for him for the third goal. And then you had boy wonder Ryan Cherky coming in for the last 10 minutes and scoring with his weaker right foot into the bottom right corner. And across, I think throughout the game, you could see how well City were kind of outplaying Wolves in every department, right? Haaland was Haaland was seeming like he was back to his best. Uh, you had the defense quite strong. I think they had only one or two chances which, Wolves could actually have a very good shot out of. And I really like James Stafford. I think he has the makings of one of the best English keepers that, I've seen in a while. He does everything right. He has great shot stopping ability, positioning seems good, very quick to find the passes. I think he can be a real game changer. And if Donnarumma indeed comes, he can be a great, it'll be a good fight for the number one position at City.
But is Donnarumma to City happening?
Not sure yet. So today, Rodrigo kind of went by the wayside because Savinho was apparently staying at City. So if Savinho stays, Rodrigo does not come. And with Donnarumma, again, it is contingent on Edison leaving. So Edison has been offered a contract by a Turkish club, I think Galatasaray, and around 7 million to 10 million is the transfer fee which they are offering to City. But I think City have not accepted it yet.
Yeah, but why would Edison go to Turkey? I think he's still such a good keeper. Yeah, he will get a transfer to any team in Europe. I feel.
I think somehow Turkish clubs have started spending a lot of money both on transfers as well as wages. So you see the likes of Osimhen, you see a lot of like traditionally good players who are not past their prime yet, choosing Turkey as a destination, similar to maybe Saudi Arabia, but at least you get to play in the Champions League, right? I think that is an attraction for a few of these clubs. So in Edison, possibly if you look at the options that he has, he may be wanted by Italian clubs and they may be playing in the Champions League, but possibly they will not be able to pay him what he wants. So this looks like a compromise on both parts, wherein he can get a good salary as well as compete in the top tournaments.
I feel a lot of English teams can go for him as well. Yeah.
Ideally, yes, but yeah, I don't know why, or maybe City don't want to sell to an English team. I don't know. So, what were your views on the City Wolves game, guys?
I think it was a easy win for City. Yeah. I think they steamrolled Wolves. They are looking very dangerous. I mean, I picked City as ending top of the table but and winning the league this year. Right, that was my prediction. And I think, as I said, like I think last year was a big one-off for them, and I think this year I think they will be back, and I'm sure Guardiola will figure out some solution to the issues that they have had last year. Even yesterday, just by Haaland's positioning in the game, right? Like you could see that he is trying to stick closer to the 6 yard box or closer to the penalty box, then kind of come deep to get the ball, like compared to what was happening the season before that. So I think they have tweaked it a little bit, and I think they have got the players to kind of do well. The defense is slightly a little kind of, there could be a couple of weak points in the defense, but I'm not saying defense is bad. It's just that the if I have to pick a slightly weak point, I think defense looks slightly weak uh, this weekend. But apart from that, it was a great performance here.
And on the defense side, I agree that out of all their departments, defense is the one that they need to work on. But another thing is that from last season, if you see, a lot of the defenders had major injuries. So recovery from that and then getting back to game time. So I think over the course of the season, this department will only improve going forward. That is what I feel. Tiani Reinders is exactly what City needed because, again, if you see the highlights of the previous seasons, City could only pass horizontally. They needed someone to have the creativity to carry the ball forward, and they've got two players in that position now. Like they've got Tiani Reinders and they've got Ryan Cherky. So I feel City has done well in the transfer window. Like they did it silently. They did it way too early. Like at the start of this transfer window, they had their targets and they got their men. And I think it was wonderful. Like the execution was top notch.
Even the value that they got for these guys was, I think,
Yeah,
top
yeah,
class. And
yeah.
another
Just
very,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, one important point here is this was a win wherein you don't have the former Ballon d'Or winner Rodri or the former Premier League Player of the Year Foden, even in the matchday squad. So you can
Correct.
imagine once they are back and running, how well this team can actually get to.
Yeah, yeah. So on the defense bit, right? I feel the even in the defense, the problem is the right side little bit where you have Rico Lewis, which I certainly don't rate him that highly, and along with him you have John Stones. on that right centre back position, although John Stones, his positioning and everything is pretty decent and he's pretty good on the ball, but I think as a 31-year-old, he's a little slow. So if you have a really good left winger in your team, they can cause this pair a little bit of problem. Is what I feel. But of course, like I still feel uh, City are good enough to manage that situation as well. But this is the slight chink in the armor I feel based on the first game.
On the right back position, I feel like Kusanov can be a solution for Guardiola. He is physically, he's very strong. He's got amazing pace, and I remember that one particular leg against Real Madrid. Even though City lost terribly in that game, 3-0, but the way Kusanov played, he literally pocketed Vinicius Junior, and that was amazing to watch. And I feel if he gets the chance, he might be the man to play at right back because he's got the pace, he's got the strength, just lack of experience in game time. So how he develops might be very crucial to that right back.
Let's move to the
Okay.
next one.
Moving to Super Sunday, we had Chelsea at home to Crystal Palace. Again, watched the game very closely. I feel Chelsea got their lineups a little wrong and their substitutions even more wrong. So Gittins started the game and he basically had zero moments where he actually contributed towards the offensive line. And Enzo Fernandez, I think, had one of his worst games as a Chelsea player, possibly because for him it is still preseason. This was only his first start of a game after the Club World Cup. So I think that kind of played a part in him not being as fresh or not being up to speed. But I think that played a big impact. When Estevao and Santos came on, they actually looked much better. So I think if we had trusted the youngsters in the first place for this game, I think that would have been a better scenario. On the flip side, I think Palace did really well. They organized themselves really well. They had a free kick which went in, which was ruled out for VAR, and I think it was very fine margins. I think we see these goals being given many times. So it is just a very, you know, uh, I think it's very referee specific that this goal was given. Otherwise, I think in 8 times out of 10, this goal would not have been like it would have been given for sure. So I think Chelsea got very lucky on that front. And I think overall, if I look at it, considering that Chelsea haven't had a good gap between the Club World Cup and the start of the season, which is actually less than a month, I think uh, it will take them time to get up to speed. We play West Ham on the Friday night in the coming week, so I think that may be again a difficult game for us, considering it's away and considering West Ham will be more physical than other teams. However, overall, I think we did well in whatever we could to at least get a draw from this game. Uh, on
What
the
were your thoughts on
players, bolo.
what were your thoughts on Joe Pedro playing as a striker instead of Liam Delap? Also, Joe Pedro playing as a striker instead of playing on the left.
So two things. I think João Pedro is definitely a number nine. There's no doubt about it. The only issue I had is in this game, if we look at the switches, I would have liked to see João Pedro and Liam Delap playing together for the last 30 minutes. Liam Delap came on way too late, and he was a like for like replacement for João Pedro, wherein I would have liked to see Delap as a number nine at 68 minute, with João Pedro moving to the left. I think that would have created some sort of better opportunities to score for us. But from a profiling perspective, João Pedro for Chelsea this season will definitely be a number nine. He will not be a left winger. And I've seen him for like 5 games now, Club World Cup plus preseason. He is definitely a very, very good number nine. Like I would love to see more of him. Uh,
Okay.
on Palace, actually, there's a kid by the name of Adam Wharton. A lot of people have been raving about him. Haven't seen too much of Palace in the past, but yesterday seeing him up close when he was playing midfield, I think he really has some very, very good. He reminds me of a young Jack Wilshere with the physique of, let's say, someone, someone who's like an Ebue kind of a guy. He's fast and he has strength. I think if they're nurtured well, I think he can be a very, very good midfielder for both England and maybe a bigger Premier League team for sure. So very, very impressed with Adam Wharton yesterday.
So I had an observation about the Chelsea game. So Gittins had a bad game, no doubt about it. But I think one of the reasons that contributed to it was how Kukurea positioned himself throughout the game. So in many instances, when I noticed, he took up a central position, which meant that Chelsea were playing with basically three men behind and a more central approach to it, which left Gittins isolated on the left flank. And I think if he had someone to play like a 1-2 passing sequence, like a fullback to play it with, I think his performance could have been a bit better. That's what I felt.
So on that subject, Chelsea play in two transitions. One is a defensive transition, one is an attacking transition. So in the attacking transition, one of the, let's say, the wing backs becomes an inverted fullback. So usually what happens is Cucurella from the left-hand side enters into a midfield position alongside Caicedo. So it becomes a 3-2-4-1 kind of a formation with the wingers expected to hold their line on the wide stretch. So Neto usually stays far right and Gittins or last year Sancho is supposed to stay far left. Now, the difference is if I look at what Gittins was doing yesterday, his job in the team is to be explosive, go 1v1 against the right fullback of the opposite team and get the better of that interaction. However, I think he was not able to do that, and I think the physicality and the pace of the Premier League is something that he will need to adjust to. So when I saw him play in the preseason match against Bayer Leverkusen, he was really, really good because he understands how the German teams play. But when it came to Milan or when it came to Crystal Palace yesterday, I think he's still one or two notches below that level. And I think it'll take him time. See, he's 21. So it's unfair to judge a 21-year-old and say, ki, okay, fine, he's going to perform from day one. So I think he'll take him time. But I think that is one position that we are lacking for sure. On the other side, though, Estevao, when he came on, was amazing. For the 18-year-old to play your first Premier League game off the bench, I really feel that, if Estevao is uh, given enough opportunities, I think he will have a very, very good season. I think I'm really excited for Estevao for sure. Uh, there's a comment here, by the way, from Football Pechu. Wharton is definitely the next big thing. His IQ is really good. He was injured for half the season last season. Absolutely, like from whatever I've seen, his qualities are like a Spanish midfielder. Yeah, like you can see him playing for one of the big Spanish teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, just looks like he will be the player to watch at Crystal Palace this season. So,
Okay. The next game. Sorry, any other comments on the Chelsea game?
I
no,
feel
not
that
too.
maybe Gusto could have also come on a bit earlier than James, just to provide that bit of extra attacking ability, because a lot of attacks were through the flanks, right? So ideally, I feel like maybe he could have come on a bit earlier to maybe just add that bit more ability.
So one thing which one thing which my observation is that if in the Premier League one player also performs below par in a particular match, it becomes very difficult for the team to win now. Like I remember back in the early 2000s, wherein, let's say, a team like Arsenal, now, even if someone is having a bad game, Perez, a Lundberg, and Henry could have an amazing game and get, let's say, one or two goals from out of nowhere and win you the game. Whereas now, how the tactics have evolved so dramatically, only a mistake by the opposition, or let's say everyone being at a particular level, helps a team win. I think, at least yesterday there was proof that Crystal Palace were very well tactically organized. They were not conceding a lot of mistakes. And wherein if one player is having a low day, I think it's very important to either change things around or to get the player out and have someone fresh who's able to get the ball rolling. Because I don't think you can afford a passenger in your team anymore in the Premier League.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, moving on to the Nottingham Forest Brentford game. I think a very good win for Forest. Uh, they picked up where they left off last season. I'm very, very concerned for Brentford, by the way. I think them having lost their manager and, in fact, the entire managerial setup. Keith Andrews, who was their goalkeeping coach, is now their actual manager now. They have lost Mbuemo already. Visa has literally gone on strike. So I think I'm very, very concerned about Brentford being able to stay up in the Premier League this season. But at the same time, Nottingham Forest did extremely well. I think Chris Wood, like such an underrated player, right? Consistently scores goals. And they signed this player, Dan Endoy. He scored a beautiful goal as well.
So
I
Anirudh
think
had messaged me yesterday, or sorry, on Friday, saying that whom should he pick in his fantasy Premier League, and it's one of the options that he had in one of the teams. He had picked Wood, and I was like, dude, are you sure Wood is going to have the same season that he had last year? I hope he didn't listen to me.
We'll have to ask him off camera for this.
Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
but
again, he
it'll
scored a
be it'll
couple
be
of
good,
goals.
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so
the way he was playing yesterday as well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he hits double digits easily.
I mean, yeah, of course, based on yesterday's form, yeah, it looks like he will hit double digits. But yeah, I mean, before last season, I never rated Wood, honestly. Right. So I think last season was like a refreshing surprise for me in terms of like the way he played. But this year again, like if we can manage that, that will be great for Nottingham Forest.
I think again it's a combination of how the manager wants his team to play and how you kind of align that entirely. Like I think one very good example in a similar analogy is Lukaku. Lukaku at most clubs is a failure, but when he links up with Conte and the way Conte wants to play his direct football with a target man up front and people making runs off the front man, I think it brings the best out of Lukaku and gives Conte what he wants in terms of the wing backs and the midfielders going forward. So I think similarly, I think Nuno has figured out the best way of using Chris Wood,
Yeah,
and let's hope. I think they have a good season again because Forest traditionally are a very big team, so would love for them to have a good season.
yeah.
Okay, moving to the showcase game of the weekend, Man U Arsenal. Varun and I saw this game together, so I'll let Varun first comment on the Arsenal game.
Um, I think a little bit of a party pooper of a game in terms of a neutrals to watch because I don't think it was at least from Arsenal point of view, it wasn't a great game in terms of quality, right? I don't think we moved out of the second gear at like any point in the game. We were not able to string like good passes. There was no momentum in our play. I mean, the only positive for us is were our defensive like solidarity and the way Raya played. Like couple of saves that he made were really good. I mean, apart from that, I think we looked really, really rusty, and we really need to kind of figure out our attacking movements and attacking link up play really well here onwards. Um, Coming to United, I feel that they were the better team on that day. Basically, I think they didn't deserve to lose. Probably, I think a draw would have been a fair result. I feel. But and also like shout out to like Kunya and Embu. I think both of them played really well. Um, Played both of them actually played better than Gyökeres for that matter. Like if I just have to rate the three debutants yesterday, Kunya looks like he will be like a great player for United at least based on the first game. Let's see how it goes. Too early to judge still. Um, but yeah, United actually played well. Like I can see a lot of positives that Amorim and United fans can take away from the game. So and then if they continue to play like this, I think they should be able to secure the fifth spot or even fight for the fourth spot if they keep continuing to play with this. And of course, they don't have any midweek games, right? So they can obviously improve it from here on. So yeah.
So a few observations. One, I think United came with a very clear game plan. They sacrificed some of their offensive capability to be more certain about how they played at the back. I was very surprised that Diallo didn't start. I honestly feel Diallo is United's best player right now, and he needs to be starting every game from a right wing back perspective because he can actually defend decently well too. And if I would say honestly, I think the front three of United had a really good game. Mount was his hard-working best. Cunha was magic at times, and Embuemo's direct runs and hold-up play was amazing. I think there was a moment on the third minute where he defined the game for me, wherein it was a ball which went up in the air towards Embuemo. Zubimendi tried to go for it. Embuemo elbowed Zubimendi and he took the ball ahead. And it was like, hey, you may be as good a technical player, but in the Premier League, it's not going to matter because we are not going to give you any space and we're going to be physical with you. And I think the United players were so physical against the United front and midfielders. I think that played a huge part. For the first half, I think United really dominated. And aside from the keeper error, I don't think they made too many errors or too many mistakes. And if I look at Arsenal, again, like Varun said, I think very impressive, solid display at the back. Raya, according to me, is the best keeper in the league for sure. And I think our friend who was watching with us may disagree. He said a statement that aside from Raya, the Arsenal backline is perfect. But yeah, I think very surprising comment for sure. And yeah, I think very lucky for Arsenal to get the win. But this is what champion team do, right? When they're not playing well, they sneak out a 1-0 win. And I think uh, Arsenal needed to win because I don't see the top two, which is City and Liverpool, dropping too many points. In terms of performances, I actually felt Sesko also didn't do badly when he came on. I think he gives them a good physical presence. He's good at linking up. Uh, he was ensuring that the movement of the players around him was in tune with how the manager would want him to play. On the contrary, I felt Gyökeres could have had a better game. I think some of the crosses into the box were not good at all. And I think his movement, or maybe Arteta needs to find a way to get the best out of Gyökeres, which maybe is too early to kind of think that he would be able to do it so fast. But I think he'll have to tweak something to get the best out of Gyökeres. I think that'll help them win the title.
Hmm. But not that easy to tweak your entire system to kind of fit in that one player, right? I mean, we saw even the likes of Guardiola struggle at one point when Haaland came in, right? Like, so easier said than done, of course. So let's see like how it goes. But
No, yeah, I would have a difference of opinion here because when Haaland came in, so before Haaland was Jesus, and the
yeah,
entire team was playing in a certain way. And in the first two games of the season, Foden didn't pass the ball to Haaland in the box, and Guardiola got so mad at him that he said that he wants him to play a different brand of football. And then Haaland, from the third game week, started scoring. And the same thing, if you see some of the older reels of United, when Van Persie moved to United, the same thing was done by Sir Alex, wherein he instructed every single player that if you cannot find Van Persie, you are not in my team. Whether it's Rooney, whether it's Ferdinand, whether it's Scholes. So essentially, everyone knew how they have to adapt their game because you have a striker who can get you 40 goals a season effectively. So when you are spending big on a striker and when you are looking to get that game in, you can't have the same, you can't, you have to tweak something to get the best out of that player. And I think if Arsenal are serious about winning the title, I think they will have to involve Gyökeres in a way. Either Gyökeres will need to adapt or Arsenal will need to adapt to Gyökeres to get the best out of him.
so the question is Gyökeres that good enough that he warrants, or is he that good enough compared to like Haaland or Van Persie that he warrants a system change? That is
Yeah,
the big
that's a
question.
fair point. That's a fair point.
So,
But
like,
yeah, well, if you're, that's the thing. If you're signing a top striker, like in just say for example, even United right now, like I think they spent big money on Hoyland, but it did not work out. They took responsibility and they said, "Ki yaar, okay, he is not ready yet. Let us get rid of him. Let us sign Sesko. We believe more in Sesko at this moment, and let us build a game plan according to Sesko." And we give him Mbuemo on one side, we give him Cunha on one side or Mount on the other side, and let them make those darting runs, and let's see how we change that gameplay. So it'll depend. So I completely agree with that statement that if Gyökeres isn't the top striker which we expect him to be, then of course then there's no point changing your system for something which is not
exactly.
yeah.
And I feel the
Then I
jury
completely agree.
is, yeah, I feel the jury is completely out on that because as I had mentioned when we signed him as well, right? Like there are 4 or 5 important key points because of which I feel that you cannot put him in that league, right? Like so. Again, I don't know. Like I think again, first game too early to judge. Let's give it a bit more time, and then probably kind of evaluate it after 5 games or even after 10 games or something, and then kind of see where it goes from there. But the problem is that the other two teams that we have against Arsenal, which is Liverpool and City, in the title challenge could be over in the first 10 games, right? Right, like by the time you actually figure this out and they are like 5 points or 7 points ahead of you, I think it'll be very difficult to come back after from there. So let's see. I don't know. I think it will be an interesting season, uh, both from a league point of view and even just from Arsenal's point of view as to how they go.
I think for me, what a problem that stood out in Arsenal's gameplay was the midfield was not organized. Out of your three midfielders, Rice, Zubimendi, and Odegaard, Zubimendi will take time to adjust to the physicality, like Yubi said. But out of Odegaard and Rice, one of them needs to take responsibility and play the role of the holding midfielder, where you keep the possession. Like one thing which stood out for me was in the last 25 to 30 minutes, United attacked relentlessly. And no doubt that Arsenal defended very well. They recovered the ball within their box and then managed to get it out of the box as well. But then effectively that should lead to a counter, right? But that didn't happen. I think out of 4 or 5 attacks that happened where they cleared the ball in the box itself, only one uh, resulted in a counter attack. And I think that is where the problem was, that there was no one who could carry the ball from just outside their box to the half line. If you have someone doing that, then you can effectively counter. And I think that was a major problem with Arsenal. Another thing is Gyökeres plays as someone who plays as a false nine. He's not the proper number 9 compared to your Haaland or to your Van Persie. He plays a proper false nine. So he needs to be more involved in building up the play. And I think that role clashes with how Odegaard plays. Odegaard plays more attacking. He's the one who carries the ball in the opposition half. So that is something that they'll have to figure out as to who they build the attack around, whether it is Gyökeres or whether it is Odegaard. I think these are the two main things which I feel will be key on how Arsenal attacks going forward.
I think Odegaard actually had one of his worst games in terms of a passing. He's usually excellent at finding that final ball. But I think
Yeah,
yesterday he had good moments of, let's say, some skills, but his final pass was lacking throughout. And with
yeah.
Gyökeres, like I said, I think it depends a lot on the manager's tactics. I think he's used to playing a certain way of sporting. So now it would depend on how they kind of gel well together, or how the manager tweaks his tactics. In terms of the midfield, I actually do agree with your point completely that in certain games, the luxury that you have is that Rice is a hybrid. He is not specifically a number six. He is not specifically a number eight. He is someone who can change his game based on let's say, the situation of the game, right? So in certain games where it's the attack completely on you, you can actually have Rice coming in as a double pivot or coming in as a holding midfielder and making sure that your defense is protected. There are times when you are on top, Perini switches over to the number eight right inside position and tries to kind of create attacks as well. But I think it was a very underwhelming performance from Arsenal. I think very like if at the beginning of the season you would have asked me, I think I would have said कि यार Arsenal would win this game quite easily. But it was actually lucky to kind of get the win yesterday.
Also, Declan Rice was substituted, right, with 10 minutes to go. So he wasn't there on the
Hmm.
pitch. So
No, in general, like if you see the game, right, he was not having that influence which you would normally expect a Rice to have.
none of them was. I don't think
Yeah,
either of Declan Rice, Odegaard, even Saka was undercooked, and Martinelli and Gyökeres, of course, looked undercooked. So, like, I think all the top five of them seemed undercooked, according to me, and this is something that needs to be addressed soon. Otherwise, it's going to be like another season where we are kind of far away from the leaders. So, yeah.
so we have a last match which will be played tonight, which is Leeds at home against Everton. Any predictions, guys?
Not really.
I mean, would love
I
for
think
Leeds to win. At home. They are back in the Premier League. Let's see. It's the atmosphere should be good, at least at over there. So yeah,
Let's see. Everton, hopefully resurgent Jack Grealish comes in, possibly scores his first goal for Everton. Let's see.
cool. All right, let's wrap it up, guys.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. Do let us know what you thought about the fixtures this weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.